r/ask Reddit. What activity is socially accepted but actually borderline psychotic? The compulsion to put absolutely everything you do and experience on social media for people to enjoy, when really you're hoping they'll envy you. Hyper-aggressive and infighting behavior in a management role. It's so counterproductive too. Once fear in politics kicks in, people stop warning or helping each other. Suddenly projects start being late and lower quality because people are too scared, or bitter, to mention delays or get help for something they're struggling with. My office is going to hell in a handbasket because of this. One manager in particular is a useless tit, but she uses her power to bully people into submission. Always passes the buck when something goes wrong. 2. I have reported her to HR close to a dozen times for her abusive behavior, and I know she has had to take a sensitivity course. The rest of upper management is almost just as bad. Can't wait to get out. Yep. I can't wait for the day companies wake up and learn that these types of managers aren't actually successful and are really just toxic and harmful to the company. Companies learned this a long time ago. It's just a cycle. Eventually there will be a reorg or the company will go under. Then time passes and unskilled managers creep in and the process starts over. Parents not preparing their children for adult life to keep them from moving out. This one boggles my mind. No, Jimmy doesn't need to prepare for med school while he's in elementary, but holy crap, they can start learning appropriate levels of responsibility, like picking up after themselves, putting their shoes and coats away when they come in the house, bringing dishes to the sink and putting them in the dishwasher. When I was teaching in daycares out of school care, man, so many of the kids couldn't understand that cleaning up in between activities was also for them, not just someone else's job. It took a few weeks and they picked up the routine, but the transition for a few was just pulling teeth. I think allowing them to have a more independent social life as they get older is also important too. I never got this one. Like, your entire job as a parent is to raise a self-sufficient adult, excluding cases where there are severe physical or mental delays, mental illness. When your 25-year-old can't keep a job because mommy didn't wake him up on time and he no-showed, that means you failed as a parent. The fact you have to fork out up to $10,000 for a proper funeral. Somebody just went through a traumatic loss and now they have to set this shit up? Come on. I'd rather be cremated and dumped into the bay. Becoming a burden is awful. Instagram influencers who have hundreds of thousands of followers who are literally filming everything they do. Think you can tell the people they spend time with are uncomfortable with the constant filming, yet they still do it. Not socially aware or just jaff. And it's because people keep watching, viewing, living life through someone else's camera, and everyone is completely okay with it. I had to threaten to kick a then close friend out of my house because he wouldn't stop streaming us hanging out. Like, man, I'm not consenting to this. Stop orgtfo. Checking people's online status. Last active, last seen across various social media frequently. Technology is an incredible thing and there is no denying that social media brings us closer to those that are physically further away. But I believe the ability to digitally stalk people plays a major role in social anxiety and psychotic behavior today. Does your username stand for I bet you can't work out what this means? I worked in a bar that had a sign on the wall that said, IITWIMWIBMAB, which everyone always asked about, to which we always replied, if I tell you what it means will you buy me a beer? A bar I worked at had a separate bar in the back called the Dilligaf bar. Someone asked my partner what this meant and he said, do I look like I give a duck? And they replied, well, that's great customer service. People who are obsessed with celebrities to the point of following their every move and talking about it with friends. I like to believe that you are an anonymous celebrity and this is your moment of reprieve. It's truly frightening how obsessive people get over celebrities, as if they are some higher being. The worst kind of people are those who think they're owed something due to the celebrity's fame. You're not owed anything. Imagine a patient saying to a surgeon, can I have a selfie? What do you mean no? I pay your salary. Then you have the issue of celebrity mental health. I'm not a fan of Kanye West, but I really do feel for the guy. Imagine having every mistake you've made throughout your life documented for people to judge you, and then when your mental health takes its toll on you, people are debating whether you're sane. You'd think after the influx of celebrity suicides that we as a society would be more conscious of our effect on these people. Jealous couples who keep tabs on each other's every move. Shared Facebook account. Check in by text every 5 minutes. Dirty looks when somebody attractive walks by, etc. Seriously, if there's so little trust, why even be together? Shared Facebook accounts creep me the duck out. Am I speaking with Jimmy or Jane? Can I crack a joke? Or will they go insane? Facebook pages for uteri also creep me out. I wasn't allowed to get Facebook because my dad told me they were just going to steal and sell my info. Way to call it, Daddy-o. But at 15 I rebelled and made one at a friend's house. So like, when the baby is born so they inherit the account. How do they explain to their friends that their FB account is older than they are? Why don't the parents just post the US pictures to their own page like a regular person who's waiting to meet a little person they made? It doesn't make sense at all to me. The beginning of your comment sounds like the start of some super crazy slam poetry or something. Competitive dog breeding, or what's it called? People obsessed with the dog breed's appearance that prioritize aesthetics before health concerns. Just look at the Schäfer with its hind legs, or pugs who can barely breathe. And not to forget all the other dog breeds with an endless list of health problems. Vets are campaigning to end the breeding of snub-snouted dogs. They can take up an or for a whole week in some surgeries. Advertisements for prescription medication. In the US, if you're going to a doctor for a problem, why not let the doctor suggest a medication if you need one? I mean, the advertisement isn't even aimed at selling the product directly. It's telling you to ask your doctor about it. Why the duck would I want to influence my doctor in a medication choice? They're the one who went to school for it, not me. Absolutely, the pharmacy industry is crazy. I'm very scared of them, in general. It was one of things I wasn't expecting about US TV when I first visited. We advertise over-the-counter stuff but no prescription medicines in the UK. Dad's a doctor, and when he practiced this used to frustrate him to no end. Patients would tell him his recommendation is wrong because the NASNXP told them so. The way we treat people on the internet. The complete and utter lack of empathy plus lack of remorse is a psychopathic trait. I hope this gets higher up this comment section. Most of us would never treat people in person the way we do online. Of course there are psychological reasons for that. We evolved to interact in person, and empathy is partly dependent on it. But it only takes a few seconds to take some deep breaths and remember there are real people behind these usernames. I'm not excluding myself from this. To be clear, I've made a concerted effort over the last 2 years to take those breaths, and I think I've done a really good job. But I still fail on occasion. Treating animals like they are disposable. I worked at PetSmart, and the way people treated fish, small animals and birds was terrible. I cried so many times in that store over my role in consigning these animals to neglect and abuse. Management never had my back and wouldn't refuse a sale. There was one time a guy came in with a bag of fish, clearly boiled in the bag because he had left them in the sun in the car. My manager didn't refuse a sale because he had a receipt from the previous day for the fish, and we couldn't prove they died like that. The bag was hot to the touch and the water was green. They had clearly not even made it to a tank. So yeah, this is psychotic. My heart goes out to veterinarians. I can't imagine some of the things they'd have to see and deal with each day. I have a friend who went to be a vet tech. As part of her education, she had to do an internship. They gave you 2 options. 1. You can spend a year at a vet's office. 2. You can spend 6 months at the local humane society. She took the 6 months option because she had just had a kid and needed to get out of school as soon as possible. But the reason the humane society gig was so short was that one of the duties was euthanization. She said it was one of the hardest 6 months of her life. Ugh, my family has a problem with treating animals like that, and it infuriates me. Like, no dad, after you decide you don't want my childhood cat, you don't get to release her, aka put her outside forever in Minnesota, and then get another cat in 6 months. And then there is my sister who hoarded 5 cats and then gave them all to her farm BC. They peed everywhere and now she wants another cat. Don't even get me started on all the birds she adopted and then gave to a lady that loves birds after the bird hit puberty. to film someone during their weakest moment against their will and consent and post it on the www for people's amusement. The justifying argument is that since you are in a public space you have no presumption of privacy and blah blah blah. Filming someone having a meltdown, a medication-induced stupor, or other vulnerable moment and putting it online is a terrible act of cruelty. Totally accepted. But if you think about it, borderline psychotic. Related. Filming your own children having a meltdown with the express purpose of mocking them on social media. Or one step further, setting them up to cry and then filming it. For example, Jimmy Kimmel's awful Halloween prank. Sure, children are often ridiculous and it is sometimes funny, but that doesn't mean you get to publicly mock them. Have a giggle with your spouse friends about it and then move on. Keep it off the internet. Breeding and selectively engineering dogs to make them cuter and smaller. It's really weird when you think that people have done this to create dogs that are small enough to fit in your hand or look just like a teddy bear. It's like borderline mad scientist behavior, especially when you consider that many of these dogs have health problems because of the way they are. And those same people won't eat GMO foods, but are okay with GMO dogs. Yet this is real bad. They've been selectively breeding pugs for centuries and now they are born with respiration problems and can't even give birth naturally due to the size of their head. But some people think they're cute. Being interviewed for just a bit higher than minimum wage job and there being 4 interviewers on the panel. I mean, you're trying to see if this person will be the best fit in your company, so you make them tell you about all their achievements whilst being scrutinized by 4 people, and then not give them the job if they're so nervous they miss out vital info. Also just the general jumping through hoops you have to do to get the shittiest job these days. The management seem to think they are doing you a favor employing you and underpaying you for the joy of being treated like crap. Working from 1565 in hopes of having enough income to not go broke till you die. Most likely a decade or so after retirement. Yup, die in a nursing home. Spending $20,000 plus on a wedding. Reloading and reloading Reddit with a right eye casting a glance to the envelope in the corner hoping it is read. This is hilarious to me, because I never expect replies. I see the little red envelope and think, oh shit, what did I do? Dudes in those wingsuits that glide really close to mountains. A lot of them are dead. In my opinion, alcoholism. It's a lot more dangerous that weed is and has ended so many people's lives. That being said, I'm still gonna drunk though. Honestly, I don't think alcohol should be illegal, but honestly duck alcohol. It causes nothing but problems. It kills 9x as many people in the US each year as gun violence, and then I need to deal with drunks shitting in the bed in the ED every weekend. Can't say it's really socially accepted, but I dislike how some people believe that they can bully and harass those working in retail. There are plenty of people who treat service workers as punching bags, and the fact that they even see that as an option during an interaction annoys me. And for the most part, the employees can't call the person out on their shitty behavior because they might lose their job. It's this whole dance of abuse acceptance from management. Those people are cowards. They bully people who can't fight back for fear of losing their jobs. Most people who treat retail workers like shit would probably never talk that way to people who are on an equal footing. Doing a good deed, then posting online what a good deed you did so that others could praise you as being a wonderful person. Healthcare profiteering. Yes, money is needed to develop treatments and garner people's best efforts. My issue is with greed, fraud and corruption, keeping costs astronomical for something many argue should be a fundamental right. Having your dogs in small cramped urban apartments and getting them a script for their anxiety. I'm going to add on people who get dogs as practice for having children. Then after the children are born, ignore the dog. Same type of people. Here in Wisconsin, drinking exorbitant amounts of alcohol to the point of blacking out, then waking up, going to brunch while drinking mimosas, beer, Mrs. Bloody Marys, followed by taking a nap, then going out that night and starting the cycle again, except going to a sporting event instead of brunch. These are called weekends. You don't want to know what we do the other days of the week. Spoiler, keep drinking. Playing king games, like Candy Crush, endlessly. But have you tried quasi cupcakes? I'm gonna have to go with bullfighting. We all watch these cartoons where it seems like the brave and nimble matador skillfully evades the huge powerful angry bull who wants to kill him. But the reality is they just torture and poor bull and then stab him and shoot colorful spears into him to weaken him and make him bleed like crazy. And when he is extremely weak and dizzy, then the matador deems it is safe enough to play around with him a little bit and show off to the crowd before finally putting it out of its misery with a sword that is supposed to instantly kill it but usually misses and it dies slowly and painfully. Then the crowd goes wild with applause and admiration for the skillful matador. Psychopaths. Getting involved in strangers' lived as if it were your own. If a guy likes to dress that way, let him. If a girl likes to date girls, let her. If a person believes in the devil, let him. The only time it affects you is if said person is harming you or others. Being uncomfortable doesn't count. This is going to be downvoted, but people seeing visions of God as psychotic and in a mental institution would mean you wouldn't be released, but is often commonly accepted within religious societies. See also, speaking in tongues. I saw some guy go into that crap and I just barely stopped myself from dying laughing. Social media in general, sharing your everyday activities with the whole world is crazy, but people do it. The culture praising over drinking and silly drunk stories. We went out for coffee and then I woke up in my bed with the bartender covered in fries isn't proof of how silly and crazy you are. It just proves you have poor impulse control and an alcohol problem. I drink as well socially, but really taking too many shots and not remembering how you came home or what happened during the night isn't something to be proud of. I think it's a coping mechanism for people. Being so invested in a group of people kicking a ball around that when they don't kick the ball around as well as another group of people, you get upset and may even beat people up and smash up other people's property. Electing someone to the position of power who have zero experience in their job, no mental check, no education, not even from the town they are representing, and known history of being crazy, and choosing to vote for that person because they are an outsider. Duck that. My garbage man can't be my heart surgeon. Group interviews, especially when they don't tell you it's going to be a group interview. I just don't understand why. I can see it working with certain jobs, but I once went to an interview for a normal office position and there were about 15 other people interviewing for the same job. It was an entry-level position paying minimum wage. About 10 people left almost immediately after the interview started. The extreme thoughtlessness that goes into the amount of waste we produce. Paying your employees as little as possible, and turning against banishing anyone who questions it or tries to improve things for themselves. Duck you for trying to get by in this world. Am I right? Why can't I just pay you what I want to pay you and you can be loyal forever? Pretending to speak really loudly to your children in public when you are actually using your children because you are desperate to be the center of attention yourself. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.